Hello, everyone. It is Monday. It's June 15th, and we are back here with my story to continue our conversation with the co-founder of Tequila Ocho, Mr. Tomas Estes, who is here with us again from his home in Oregon. Hello, Tomas.
Hello, Kyle, and hello to all of you that are joining us. It's a pleasure to be here.
We've got a lot to cover today, but we wanted to make sure here that we started with a quick note. We got some horrible news yesterday, and we felt like we needed to make sure we addressed it, that we lost a dear friend and colleague of ours at Samson in Surrey with the loss of Aquilino Garcia Lopez, who is the Don, the maestro, everything with regards to Mezcal Vago and the founding thereof, and Judah and his father-in-law. So, we wanted to make sure that we just, said that our thoughts and condolences are, of course, with the entire Mezcal Vago family, and of course with Aquilino's family as they process losing, such a central part of their life.
Thank you for that, Kyle. Yes, there's some obvious irony with a show that is called My Life, and this shocking, saddening news coming along here shows us how precious life is in its dynamic life with death. And certainly, as you have said, our most sincere condolences go to all those close to Aquilino and those who are feeling this grief and loss right now. I send my love and the love of my family and all of us from Tequila Ocho and from the entire community family of those of us who are involved with spirits in general. So lots of love to those who are feeling this sad situation right now. Thanks, Kyle.
Oh, please, no, thank you. There's been so much going on even since the last time we talked, and we were already talking during a global pandemic, so hard to believe that even more could happen. But we took a little time and we made a little space for everyone. Of course, this horrible news from yesterday, but we want to jump in, and we want to continue hearing the second half, I guess, or if whatever we can get through today as far as the story, and pick up kind of back where we left off, which was kind of the expansion into Tequila Ocho, and those first meetings with Carlos, your co-founder, and the birth of what is today Tequila Ocho. And I'm ready to jump back in if you are.
I certainly am, Kyle. And what I'm thinking of is I proposed or shared with the live streaming of last episode about my my taking on challenges to learn about myself, to see what I could find about who this still developing character is. And so if it works for you, I'll bring this into the dynamic between Carlos Camarena and I, and how we have found our interplay, our relationship, fueled by this energy of challenging ourselves. Is that sound like a place to jump back into this?
I think that sounds wonderful. Yeah, let's do it.
Fantastic. So when I would like to set the stage for this with looking at Carlos's situation at the point where he invited me to do a tequila with him. Now, Carlos, even at that point, which was circa 2005, 2006, Carlos and his family had already been notably highly esteemed, evaluated as the, if not the leading tequila producer in the industry and the culture of tequila making. He certainly was by then one of the ones that were lauded, celebrated as celebrity tequila maker, tequilero. So Carlos already had been, let's call it, actualized, for lack of a better word. He was already arrived at a certain point of celebrity, of renown. And so he did not have to prove himself. He did not have to take on a brand that would show others what he was worth. And I was at a point at that 2005 where I had made my name. I had made my reputation as a bar owner, as a restaurateur. I had become recognized by the Mexican National Tequila Chamber as their ambassador. So I had little to prove also within the hospitality world as well as within the spirits world. So the two of us were going from a positive point already, and we were looking at going further into making and further names for ourselves from a positive point towards more positive things in front of us. Now, what I'm setting up here is that he and I, we were primed for creating new things. And the actual idea of what we set out to do with Ocho as being a tequila that would highlight as much as possible the essence of tequila, the essence of the agave from which it was made, may seem obvious. However, it was something rather untried, in my view, up to that point. A case in point, I will tell a brief story about a tequila that did not want to especially bring into the market a product that was so strong, so pure in its agave expression. Now, this particular brand took the approach of, let's bring to market tequila, which will be pleasing to the largest amount of public that we can. Now, they actually had a great success with this brand because currently they are doing, I don't even know what the figure is, but last time I looked, it was over 2 million 9-liter cases, which is absolutely extraordinary. And this is a brand called Patron. So I cannot criticize their success. In fact, I'm very grateful to Patron for all that they have done to raise the entire reputation, the image of tequila as being something that can be esteemed highly and regarded as a luxury product. So now back to this idea that Carlos and I had, it was rather revolutionary to come to market with something that would please ourselves rather than us thinking about what would be the flavor profile of a tequila that we might bring into the market, which was then already well developed in 2005. So that was the first thing that we did that was, let's say, out of the box, out of the envelope, taking our own direction and not thinking of the commercial aspect, but more thinking of doing something that pleased ourselves, that pleased us, that would make us proud, that would give us, show our passion, and that would be something we would like to drink ourselves. Now, along the way, we have continued with these challenges, with wanting to come up with new things and not be afraid to try out innovations and what could be considered daring new different products. So the idea certainly of us doing single ranch production, single vineyard, to use the wine term. And along the way, we have done a number of other fun challenges that keep us alert and keep us light and moving on our feet and keep us stimulated and full of fun. So when Carlos asked me to do this brand with him, I was so over the moon, so to speak, and so happy to do it. I jumped right in. And later, when I was reflecting on what Carlos and I were doing, I thought, now, why, of all the people that Carlos might have invited, why did he ask me? And so, did we go over this already in the last session, Kyle?
We touched on it just very lightly.
Okay, so I on one of my visits to Carlos at the distillery, I took my iPad with me and I said to Carlos, I have something to ask you. And Carlos, always bold and not to be afraid of things, said, fine, what is it? And I said, well, I want to record it. Fine, let's do it. And I said, why was your choice me out of all the people that you could have asked to do this tequila brand together? And he said, it was that I thought that you, with your various bars around the world, you could sell this brand if we couldn't sell it to other people, and that we would have fun doing it. And so this whole aspect of fun was part of the DNA. It was part of the birthing process of this brand. And we have absolutely naturally kept that fun going. It is not a conscious thing. It simply springs forth between Carlos and I in a way that is irrepressible. And the value of that fun to me is that it keeps things moving, it keeps things light, it keeps things enticingly fresh and alive. So this is, I think, a bit different to what Carlos said, which is all part of the fun that he and I have with one another, which is that he remembers our history in his own way, and I remember it in my own way. And that's all part of the delight that I have with it. So there we are with, I think, a couple of very important elements of what we're doing together. Where shall we take it from here, Kyle?
Well, I think from here, we kind of know a little bit about the genesis, but like where where have you grown? I mean, this has been over a decade ago, so as Tequila Ocho has come to life, and as the brand itself has grown, what are some of the changes that have gone on, and what have you learned the hard way? What worked right out of the gate, and what else may have changed, and then I think we'll go from there to the future.
Okay, thank you, Kyle. Thanks for this direction. I'll try to be a bit more mindful of our time and not not carry on too much on details. I would say what comes to me at this moment with us talking is that I have been extremely fortunate to have entered the market with an alcohol brand with a background, a deep, deep background in hospitality. So having started and owned a number of Mexican bars and restaurants around Europe and in Australia, this put me in a position to know a lot about the market, the end users market, about bar work, selling spirits to people, having been a customer to countless brands of tequila, mezcal, as well as other distillates, gins, whiskeys, etc. And so I have known what it's like to be in the place of bar managers, bartenders, bar owners, so I can know a bit better how to speak to them and how to speak in their language. And because I have had this long success with owning bars, that I have had a certain credibility in the markets worldwide that has given me definitely an advantage with Tequila Ocho in world markets. And it still goes on. My son, Jesse, who you know, Kyle, is a millennium, a millennial. What do we call them? A millennial. And he's closer to the market, still practices bartending on guest shifts, or was doing that before our social distancing. I'm assuming, like probably most of us are, that we will return to those what seem like perhaps golden days. Certainly, I hope we return to a certain level of that, a certain essence of that. And so the combination of me, myself, and my long-term reputation in hospitality and bars and restaurants, combined with Jesse's more contemporary, has been a real boon to us. We have enjoyed a lot of success through that, and that combined with us being a family, with Carlos Camarena and his 3 daughters, who I mentioned last time, their family, it feels very special to say that we are a family business in a culture of distillates, of spirits, that very often is not family at all. Maybe it had been family, but grew well away from it with many, many brands. And so one of the things that I identify very much with Ocho is that I think of it as a slow food product. Did we go into the slow food concept last time, Kyle?
No, not really.
Okay, so if I can talk a bit about what I'm meaning by slow food, what to me slow food is this appreciation of products. I'm looking at it in the most general sense, an appreciation of products which have integrity, which are made for their quality rather than their quantity. Now, this was the message that came out very strongly in the film Agave. What was the rest of the title? A Sense of a Nation, or
Close. Spirit of a Nation.
Spirit of the Nation. Thank you. which Aquilino, God bless him, took a large part. And so their message, quality, not quantity, is very, very strong. And if we look at the title of this cultural concept, slow food, it is perhaps obviously the opposite of fast food. So if we look at what fast food is and we think that slow food is not that, then we can perhaps understand it better. So look at fast food is commercial, it is mass produced, it wants to be consistent for the global world market. Okay, so slow food is the antithesis. It is not mass produced. It is not made for consistency. It is made for its diversity. And certainly Tequila Ocho with its single vineyards, its single ranch productions fits perfectly into that, I would say. And now, to not to forget why I've taken you all into this side consideration of slow food. For me, family fits very well in that. When we think of fast food, I think that the thing that comes to mind is corporate industrialization, and family expressions do not blend very well into that. So this whole thing of pride and passion leading the philosophy behind a product certainly is a slow food one, and more challenging to achieve with a industrial product. I often have said, and if I've said it on version 1 of my life, please excuse me, I'll try to speed through it here a bit. That is that, oh hell, I've forgotten what I wanted to say about this. What I wanted to say is, not only the pride and passion. I've lost it. Can you help me with some keywords of from where I've come?
I mean, we were, really thinking about, the agave spirit of a nation and quality over quantity, and the shifts, and really trying to bring that to
Yes.
life.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Kyle. What I was looking at, where I was going, is that the chamber for which I am the ambassador is called the Mexican National Chamber of Tequila Industry. Well, that says a lot when we call it industrial. And when I think of Tequila Ocho, I do not think of an industrial product. When I think of the mezcal activity, I think of it as a culture. I do not think of mezcal as belonging to an activity that would be correctly called industrial. So I mostly feel that Tequila Ocho, being a cultural product, has an identity and an image much closer to, for instance, Vago, our brother or sister company. I think of us, Tequila Ocho, belonging to that cultural identity much more than a tequila industrial product. So thank you again for bringing me out of the darkness of my own spontaneity. Where shall we go from here now, Kyle? I'm recognizing that um, uh, we're progressing in our time.
Oh, that's okay. No problem. Well, so I think, where, as you got this thing started, this project, and you realize you didn't just have to sell it in your own restaurants, that in fact is you used that on-premise operations experience to go out and talk to bartenders and operators and bar owners all across, with your role from, from the government of as an ambassador to Europe and your reputation in the business, and realize that there was a huge market for this style of tequila that was never really seen before, right?
I did realize rather soon that there was this market, yeah, and it seems that Tequila Ocho suits the fast food culture in a number of ways, perhaps that I haven't said yet fully. One is the fast food culture certainly, values provenance. So from where does this particular basil come? I love that the Italians have shared with me that there is a basil that grows near Genoa, that if the plants are taken anywhere else, or the seeds or whatever, it will not taste the same. So there is provenance. Basil grown only in this one area around Genoa. So I love that Tequila Ocho suits that part of slow food. Another part that I interpret with slow food is not only from where does the product come, as well, what is important is to bring to market the product as unadulterated as possible. So, in other words, to bring to market this wine, or tequila in our case, as pure as pure and as true to the raw material. With wine, obviously it's the grape. With tequila and mezcal, obviously it's the agave. And so as unmanipulated, as unmessed with as we can do, so that I'm going to probably repeat this, but I will ask everybody's forgiveness that has seen already version 1 or phase 1 of this program. And the point is that I have found, when I ask people what it is they appreciate, like about Tequila Ocho, when they say it is the taste, and I query them further about what about the taste is it that they appreciate so much, they will say that it is so pure that it is so fresh, so lively, and these are my words, so unadulterated that they find this flavor profile something that is very agreeable to them and Moorish, as the British use that term. In other words, at the end of having had a sip of Ocho, they are encouraged by that, the length, the the lingering flavor, that they are encouraged to have another taste. So I'm very proud of those elements of Ocho, which again I would relate to its close identity with this cultural philosophy, this cultural movement called slow food. Now, I wanted to put that in there. Will you remind me of what you besides what else you suggested that I go into now?
Sure. Yeah. I think, for me, for us, it's, that early growth and that experience that once you realized, as you said, that people were responding to this kind of tequila, this story of tequila, this idea of single estate, of provenance, that was different in the spirits world, still argued about the importance of terroir and provenance, or even the ability to exhibit it, is still controversial in certain circles of the spirits world, that I think so many Samson and Surrey brands, all of, and especially Tequila Ocho is built upon. And how that helped Tequila Ocho grow, and really around the world, because also, while so many brands build so successfully in the US first, Tequila Ocho has been wildly successful internationally, thanks, I think, to the global mindedness of your family and Carlos's family from the get-go. That if people think of, as you say, I don't know about higher end, although Tequila Ocho is a higher end tequila. People think of well-crafted tequilas. Tequila Ocho always comes up in the first 5 names of any bartender, and any bar owner worth their salt across the whole world.
Yes, thanks for that, Kyle. And what has been quite rewarding to me, and I can speak for Carlos, I believe, is that this whole idea that we dared to go into the existence and the role of terroir in a distilled spirit has had an influence on certainly the tequila world, those that have had open minds and those that are nimble enough to jump along with trends that come up, and even vodkas, which a lot of people drink, I think, because they have little or no flavor, have gone into single field productions. And that's been really a fun thing for both Carlos and I. We enjoy having an influence on our culture. And the same goes with our approach to aging. The whole, I'm going to try to talk about aging in a brief way here rather than taking hours on it, but I think we can all get in touch with the concept, the tradition that something that is dark in color, denoting age, is better. It has more value than something without the dark color. Son Jesse and I were doing research yesterday or the day before, and we were looking at some wonderful cognac from a producer called Gros Perrin. And this particular cognac was from 1973, and it was this deep, dark, gorgeous color because it had been aged 30 years. Now, am I against that? Absolutely not. I have drank a number of bottles of their 1976, and I think I still have a couple bottles somewhere squirreled away. And it is an absolutely gorgeous, privileged experience to have. So I'm not against aged products at all. But what I am saying is that we, with Tequila Ocho, decided before we put anything into any barrel, we decided that we would not want to cover up our gorgeous tequila, unaged tequila, with excessive wood influences, whether it would be the vanillins, tannins inherent in the wood, or the char that the barrels receive and give it that color. So we decided early on that we would bring to market aged tequilas, and we would age them the minimum amount of time and in Carlos's most used barrels. So in many cases, those barrels are 20, 30 years or more of use, and they give a wonderful influence, especially through the capillary effect of oxygenating the spirit, which tends to relax it and soften it, make it easier, perhaps, certainly less fresh. So this was also another thing that we did that I would say flew in the face of tradition. It was something that other tequila producers were, as a generality, aging their products, or I might say coloring them with additives to give them the appearance and somewhat of the taste of aging. Now, I am not criticizing those brands for having done that and continuing doing it. It is allowed by not only the tequila authorities, but other spirits authorities. So I'm not against that. However, my own taste says to me, I would prefer not drinking extremely aged products. Probably I can say why, as one example, is that the less aged they are, the more I can drink of them in one setting. So I like again, using that British term. I like the Moorish quality of a less aged tequila, such as Ocho. And this was another thing that Carlos and I dared to do, and we are seeing others in the tequila industry or tequila culture showing that they also appreciate and are aware of the agave flavor having its own value, and either aging less or at least speaking about the value of the uniqueness of tequila flavor. Because it wasn't long ago that tequila had a largely pejorative image. I mean, let's be honest, tequila still, in many parts of the world, including Mexico, still has a negative image in some circles. And is that correct, or is that a fallacy? I don't think so. I think in some cases, some tequilas actually do, because of their chemical properties, their lack of quality rather than quantity, can make us feel rather dreadful. And I think to deny that is to deny reality. I'm not one to drink those tequilas myself. However, I do not wish, as the tequila ambassador, to deny the existence of them. So I don't know where we are now, Kyle, with what I might say next.
I don't know what you might say next either, but we'll take a shot. We still got a little bit of time.
Good.
We're curious, and again, you have such a great perspective over your career with both where the industry's been and where it is today. And then, not only have you been a connoisseur of so many different tequilas and producers and what they're bringing to market, as you said, not demonizing any one or their product, because everything makes the world that we have today, the diverse, wonderful place that it is. But then also bringing a product to market, both for the sake of fun, but also for the sake of seeing something new and different that you believed there was a space for in the tequila world. What do you see is the future for the tequila category, and specifically Ocho within it?
That's a really valuable and worthwhile question. Thanks very much for that. The brands will continue with image being an important part. Now, what are some of the aspects of image? How about celebrity tequilas? George Clooney is a good-looking guy, not as good-looking as me, by the way, but he certainly has had a wonderful, wonderful success with his Casamigos, and good on him. He brings attention. He and his product bring attention to the category, which is good for the category, which means it's good for me, it's good for Tequila Ocho and the other tequilas that make their products for quality rather than quantity. It's good for the quantity rather than quality brands as well. So I'm sure we will continue seeing brands aware of their images through celebrity endorsement or celebrity ownership, which again is good for the attention that it brings. We will continue to see them looking for innovations. For instance, a product like Cristalino, which I would love to go into, but I'm not going to because of the time element. Cristalino being a product that is gains attention to the category and therefore is good in that respect. We will look for market share, hopefully taking market share in terms of the tequila category from other categories of spirits, and we can continue doing that with the image that tequila is a fun product that has some romance to it, such as Mexico itself does. Perhaps it has some edginess, such as Mexico has, some foreignness, some excitement to it that perhaps other spirits do not have. So I think we can expect more and more focus on tequila as a Mexican product. I think we have gone through a phase in which mezcal, some people in the mezcal category felt like they had to denigrate or bring down the image of tequila in order for the public to allow a space for mezcal. I believe we are largely past that, I'm glad to say. And I mean, this happened 10 or more years ago. And so I feel like the more that tequila and mezcal and the other agave spirits, including a technically non-agave spirit, such as sotol, I feel like we can gain a strength of identity and a strength of Mexican pride in those products being mentioned and band together in different associating ways. This is one thing I'm extremely pleased with and grateful for, that Ocho has a very close relationship to Mezcal Vago, and there's lots and lots that we can accomplish together. Judah and I had the grand pleasure and the grand opportunity of being out in the market with him, actually with you. We were in Texas, and I think what I experienced there was that there's so much synthesis that can occur between two different agave products that the potential seems limitless. So I'm the film agave, I think it's called Agave, the Spirit of a Nation, I think shows that very well. So I think that the future of tequila, the future of agave spirits is very bright. I think it has lots of cultural things, advantages to it. And I believe we will see more and more success by looking at the pride and passion inherent in Mexicans and Mexican culture with their production of both tequilas and mezcals.
I love it. And yeah, there's so much room to grow, and they can only help each other. The rising tide will lift all ships, all agave spirits and Mexican spirits ships, right? That's a very special place. I think it's a wonderful place to kind of end the message of the day as well. So Tomas, as we hit our hour mark, I want to say thank you again so much for joining us a second time. To give some wrap to the story, and a little bit of a great glimpse at the future of agave spirits, and very much hope to be able to speak to you again and share some more words of wisdom in the near future.
Thank you, Kyle, for providing this opportunity for me to carry on as I am wont to do. And thanks to any of you that are out there live right now, and to any of you who will search this out and look at this. It is offered with sincerity. It is offered with love. And so thanks to all of you for your participation. Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you so much, Tomas. Everyone, this is Samson and Surrey Television and Kyle McHugh, your host, with Tomas Estes, and we will see you very soon again on Samson and Surrey TV. Cheers, you all. All right.